right.
All right.
Everything's set. Is that flashing
We've
again?
done this before.
Yeah,
really.
I've done it before.
Yeah, seriously.
I promise we have.
Yeah.
At least once. All right.
This camera's good.
Cool. That one is too. All right. We're live. Welcome to the Iron Palace Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Iron Palace Podcast, the world's most anabolic podcast that's coming from Scottsville, Kentucky. What's the name of this gym?
Bodymax Barbell.
Bodymax Barbell.
Since 1980.
And it's probably the coolest, not probably, definitely the coolest gym I've ever been to.
I definitely
appreciate
yeah.
it.
And we haven't even seen all of it yet. We've just seen what's in here.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff outside. There's barns full of strongman stuff here.
Yeah, we pulled up, and I wasn't even paying attention, and Alan was driving. And he goes, "Oh, I think we're here." And I was like, "How can you tell?" And I looked up, and it's just
Yeah.
Omega Force everywhere.
I was like, there's a motorcycle bench press.
Yes.
And,
we didn't even come in and say hi first. We just started walking around.
yeah.
Well, over 30 years of building this stuff, I mean, you know, God just kind of gave me the ingenuity to be able to do it. And it's all a godly thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, and I've stole stuff from World's Strongest Man, and World's Strongest Man stole stuff from me.
Yeah.
Ideas. So I mean, you know, but I used to do for several years. We performed with all the qualifiers that was in World's Strongest Man in the United States, and we would either do the halftime or started off or finished off while they was doing awards. So I got to go to World's Strongest Man, but I got to go the way that God wanted me to go. So.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So you said you built a lot of this stuff. How much of the stuff did you build? All of it?
Just about all of this in here, and all the stuff in the ministry. Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah.
I've been building for a long time.
Even when I told Alan while we were looking at stuff, I was like, "This stuff looks manufactured." Like,
Yeah.
Well, I've been at it a long time. Of course, I've been lifting longer. I've been competing for 41 years. I've been lifting for 45 years.
it's insane.
So it's been a long road, been a long fun road. I wouldn't change
Yeah.
a thing, you know, but yeah.
Yeah, because I know I've mentioned it once, and we've talked about it a little bit just since we've been here, is my goal at the end of my strength lifting career, whatever it is to have maybe not a gym like this, because I don't know that I could make anything like this, but just the wall
Yes.
of feats
Yes.
that you have is insane.
Well, I like creating an atmosphere. Yeah, like
People you've met, and it's just very impressive to walk around in here.
Oh, yeah. It's just like feats of strength that you've accomplished, people you've met. It's insane.
Well, you know, again, and I'm an ordained minister, and of course the ministry, you know, I've been doing for 30 years, and God opened a lot of doors for me to. I mean, I've never been the world's strongest man, but several of them know me by first name. Yeah, and several of them has performed with me on the ministry, and of course I know this is way back, but we performed with Road Warriors, the wrestlers, Hawk and Animal.
so cool.
And I'm unfortunately I'm probably one of the only men has ever been kissed square on the lips by Hawk of the Road Warriors. Yeah, we was doing a show out in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'd done the altar call at it was Athletes International. They honored Chuck Norris that day. And but anyway, after I'd done the altar call, he's running full speed up the aisle as I'm coming down the steps, and I'm thinking, of course, you know, Hawk's kind of wild anyway.
Yeah.
I said, what is he going to do? And he come and bear hugged me and picked me up and kissed me as square on the lips as possibly be. I'd have been worried if his children and his wife wasn't back there. But him and Animal was really good guys. The story, when I went out there, Joe Jackson, NFL football players, one brought us in, and we was in suits. And at that time, I'm 290-ish, you know. And I keep looking at this guy, just about the exact same size as me. We're all in suits again. I couldn't tell. And he had a mohawk, and every time he'd look, he's sizing me up. And I'd size him up, and I thought, I power lifted somewhere against him somewhere. So really, and until that night, they said, well, the Omega Force is going to go perform at a youth prison. Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors, is the one lined it all up. And I thought, that's Animal that's been sizing me up.
Wow. Yeah. I think that's an accomplishment in itself, getting sized up by one of them.
Yeah, and again, and y'all going to see that I'm going to I'm not a boastful person. God has opened all those doors. God has opened all those doors for notoriety for the ministry, and the ministries took us a lot of places, you know. And I'm sure Clint had shared we was Arnold's personal security for 11 years at the Arnold Classic.
Yeah.
And you know, so I mean, it's been I thought, well, this is something that one-time thing, you know. And the story was that I've had my squat suit on, fixed squat the log. We fixed to open up, do the show. That's why it was governor. It was the 20th anniversary. And I seen these guys' earpieces looking in. They was looking us over and looking the crowd over. And there's thousands of people gathered. And this one comes in with earpieces, suit on, one of Arnold's guys while he was governor, is, you know, I guess the Secret Service or whatever. And he says, I was wondering if y'all would help us. And I said, well, sure. He said, well, y'all pretty good sized bunch of guys, and we're needing help. So we've been trying to back this crowd up for the last 30 minutes, and we can't get them backed up. No way, no how. I was wondering if you and your team would. And I said, well, yeah, but now we're a ministry. Oh, I want you to do it nice. So
then once you start cracking heads.
Yeah.
So what we did, we stretched our arms out. I told the guy, stretch your arms out, and we all linked up and stretched your arms out and start backing into them and tell them what you're doing, what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we got to back you up to bring Arnold in. Well, we backed him up, I'd say a good 60 feet. And he comes in, the guy with the earpiece comes in, he says, we're impressed. And he said, in fact, he said, you pick one more, you guys, he'll follow y'all such and such, and then the other guys will walk along beside. And I told the big guy, of course, he's passed on now, cancer got him. His name was Bubba Dowling. He was a monster. Bubba was about 6'4", 380, 800-pound raw bench presser. But it was just crazy big guy, crazy big guy. But anyway, I remember when Arnold looked at him, and Arnold went, but anyhow, I said, this is something first time thing. You know, you're not going to do. Do we need to stop? I know you're holding your hand up. I thought he was trying to stop me.
I thought there was like a glare, and he was trying to block it with his hand.
I wouldn't pay attention.
He might have been with the mirror. But anyway, I thought this was a one-time thing. But anyway, I held the door open for Arnold to go back out, and my big squat log was there. And everybody knows it's been in lifting very long that Arnold's nickname was the Austrian Oak. Mm-hmm. And he spied my log, and he said, "What's this? World's strongest man?" And one of the ladies on the team, that husband's wife on the team, said, that's the gentleman that's doing your security's log that he squats. And he said, I like that. And he patted it. You know, he rocked out. And, of course, he left out and said, thanks, partner. And anyway, I thought, well, that's a one-time thing, man. Great, blah, blah, blah. Again, I farm, as y'all pulled up. Y'all probably seen some cattle out. I've farmed all my life. And I'm at the machinery show the next year in Louisville, Kentucky. And my phone rings, and it says California. Who in the world is calling me from California? I answered and it says, is this Mr. Richey of Omega 4 Strength Team? And I said, yes, sir, it is. Said, well, I'm such and such with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and just making sure that you guys are coming back to Arnold next year. And I said, yeah, we've already made preparations to come. Says, well, good, because Arnold himself has requested for y'all to be a security again. And that wound up being an 11-year thing. Now, you think God can't do things. I'm a cow kicking, dirt clod from Scottsville, Kentucky. You know, what's the chances of me being Arnold's personal security, you know, but wound up, you know, then. And it was pretty fun. I won't lie to you. It was enjoyable. And again, you know, we done that. And of course, again, we had about, you know, on America's Got Talent, you know, and stuff. So, and I think that was God putting that all together for notoriety.
Yeah.
To get us places maybe that we wouldn't went normally, you know. So, but I mean, I'll tell you, I'll have to say, I know you're going to hear me talk a lot about God, and I don't want to bore you about God, but I was involved in powerlifting early on, you know, many years ago. Till I involved God in my powerlifting, I would never win first place. I would win a third, occasionally a second. And I didn't involve God in my powerlifting to become a champion, but I involved God in my powerlifting just because I wanted to get closer to God. And I thought, well, he will help me. And he did. And I become completely undefeated Kentucky State champ for over 25 years at that. And then I went on to national champion 3 times and world champion 1 time. And I just lifted in the world championship 1 time. But it was a God thing. And I know without a shadow of doubt, but now, and again, I know I'm sounding preachy here, but I've learned in life, if you put God first in your life, he'll give you the desires of your heart. So I know I'll try to stop the preaching. So back on my iron game stuff, you know. But again, my whole lifting career has been surrounded by powerlifting. And then the team Omega Force, I met Clint at NASA Nationals. It's where I met Clint.
Yeah.
And after he done a lift, he jumped up and praised the Lord. And so I went and talked to him. And Clint had tried to get on the power team, and they said he was too small in stature. You know, he's playing strong, bro. You know, strong as he ain't been on there. But so he been with me 20-something years. You know, and of course now I'm getting old. So I've done plugged y'all. You know, I want y'all to come and help start doing stuff. And hey, if you got a church in y'all's area, I'll bring it all up there.
Well, we and Alan were talking about it earlier because I told him that you'd invited us over, and I said I think it'd be cool to do it because I grew up watching them.
Yes, absolutely. I'm losing my. And I won't give the comic relief here.
We'll see. We're missing Dave, and so we were needing that.
But yeah, I grew up watching stuff. I didn't watch Omega Force specifically, but other teams like that. So I've always thought it'd be cool to try it.
Well, you heard me a while ago that when I went out to and done the thing in Scottsville, General, they honored Chuck Norris, and this was a Christian athlete. Chuck Norris got saved at a power team expedition, show. Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of a small world and stuff, and again, and through Omega Force, like I say, and everybody knows the name Bill Kazmaier. And Bill's been a good friend of mine for years, and he used to perform with us some, but I can tell you when you're somebody and when you're not somebody. We was out at the World's Strongest Man qualifier in St. Louis, and he was doing the commentary. He had his white metric shirt on, and we just had done a church the night before. Well, the church the night before, he said, what you got me doing? I said, well, I'm doing such, and I thought I'd stand on one side of the church, you stand on the other side of the church, and we'll bend 3/4 inch steel. He said, I can't bend 3/4 inch steel. I said, I don't even want to hear it. He said, how far you want to bend it? I said, well, I'm going to cross mine over. He said, I'm just going to use mine. And I said, come on, Bill, you know better than that. So anyway, I was on one side of the church, and when I bent my piece of steel and I put my foot in to cross it over, he looks over and goes, and he sticks on, cross his over. All right, so the next night we're in front of thousands of people at a big, I can't remember what the thing at, but it was one of the World's Strongest Man qualifiers, and it was like a 3-day event. But anyway, Powerlifting USA, and I know some of y'all are, but some of the crowd probably don't understand what Powerlifting USA. That's a magazine. It's been around. Of course, it no longer exists now, but it started I think in 1979, and I've got every copy up there in the stairs of it. But but anyway, there's a picture of Bill bending a piece of 3/4 inch steel, and his bicep looks like a softball where he's pulling it in. And I'm as close as I am to Holland right here. You can't see my elbow. You can't see my knee. You see nothing but Bill Kazmaier. And I said, this is when you're somebody and when you're not.
Yep.
It did at least mention my name, but I didn't get no picture in there. But again, I've had a lot of fun through the I have really, really loved strength athletics. And I've shared with you, and Caleb also, I used to do Highland games. Anything with strength stuff, I just always loved it. I threw the discus in the shot when I was in high school, but again, then I got the powerlifting bug bit me hard. But I was trying to be the strongest powerlifter there was, the strongest strongman there was, and the best Highland game guy there was, and that's impossible. My wife says pick one. Well, I picked powerlifting that knows no money in.
Yeah.
And I know he knows the name Kerry Overfelt. Kerry used to, I used to beat Kerry and them. I mean, like a drum, and then they went to making money, and I'm thinking, oh my Lord, what have I done? Of course, I couldn't beat him now, but used 2 years ago when we throwed. But I have, and please don't think I'm bragging, because anything I've ever accomplished, it's through God. I know that. and I certainly enjoyed the camaraderie of meeting y'all guys. In any strength sport, there's a lot of camaraderie in it.
Oh yeah.
But, we've talked about that a lot of times.
But unfortunately, in some bodybuilding, it's not. It's bodybuilding is some kind of cutthroat against each other. Yeah.
Better watch
going
out.
Down.
Of course, we're going to post a picture. I think some of the boys are going to post a picture of Mr. Alan Fagg. He tried a extremely strong heavy lift today.
It was pretty nuts.
Yeah.
1,740-pound foot press.
I didn't quite get it though.
With Mr. Caleb sitting on top of
But
it
it
for
looked
extra weight.
great.
It did look good.
Yeah.
Great picture. And as far as I'm going to tell everybody, you lifted it.
But you still did accomplish the second heaviest.
No, it's like the fourth.
Fourth.
You beat Clint's record.
Beat
Clint's record. There you go.
We were just trying to beat Clint.
There you go.
Yeah, that's who I want to beat on Hack and Schmidt. bench press as Clint.
Oh, yeah. Well, Clint's always been a good bench presser. Unfortunately, he was sick on us today and didn't get to come. But Clint is a bench press gorilla, I'll have to say.
Oh,
that. Yeah. That's his slogan or whatever it is on his his bench press gorilla. But
I don't think he was actually sick. I think he was just scared.
He might have been. But like I say, and I certainly appreciate y'all guys coming down and helping.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, this
Yes, I know it's a lot of work
As
and
soon
stuff.
as soon as Clint texted us asking us about it, it was a no-brainer. We were all, we're in.
Well, I think, of course, I worked effortlessly to get that sign up for y'all guy here out front with those big old wheels.
That thing's the entire. We spent like 20 minutes just like at the doorway looking at stuff. I mean, we didn't even make our way back into the gym yet.
And as we're pulling up and I saw the wheels out there, I said, "Oh, I want to squat that."
Yeah.
Then we walked in. You said, "I squatted that." And I was like, "I knew it."
Yeah.
On the bars, 909.
909. No, I don't want to squat that.
First time I squatted, it was at the Arnold Classic. And Ken Anderson, now I don't know if you're familiar with who Ken Anderson is. He does some of the Titan equipment and stuff. They donated a big squat. They donated a $400 squat suit and a $50 pair of knee wraps for me to squat them. And I had squatted them in my shop over there with my suit. One rep, I failed on a second. And I had the tractor and loader up above to catch it where we get on me.
Yeah.
And but anyway, up there with all the hype and the new suit, I was blessed to do 4 reps with it.
That's
But
nuts.
now at that time, God had blessed me. I was a really big squatter. I squatted 1,000-pound log. But
I was going to say, what was your log record? It was
1,010 is the most I've ever done.
That's nuts.
And when I was 59 years old, I knew it would be the last time on my back. I had 1,002. I squatted 1,002 right there, and I knew then that would be the last time it would be on back. But that was before diabetes. Diabetes jerked 40-something pounds off. 59. I got the video to prove it. I have
That's
the video
insane.
to prove it. But it was heavy.
Was it like
was heavy?
Was it like a full squat?
Well, I probably wouldn't have been parallel enough in a meet, but my bottom of my legs was parallel because I sat down on the bench. I sat down on the bench with it. I sat down.
Because I'm just thinking the massive arms
That's wild.
that Hafthor Bjornsson lifted was what, 11, 12?
Yes.
It was not far off of that.
Yeah. Well, God blessed me really, really big in squatting. In fact, when they was doing the qualifiers, World's Strongest Man, I felt honored that some of the people would come, some of the competitors would come to me wanting pointers because they'd watched me squat the old big log and stuff so many times. And again, I've never been World's Strongest Man, but I've rubbed elbows with them, and I felt good that they asked me, for advice.
Yeah.
And
Remind me to rub your elbow later.
I'm not washing this one.
but guys, if y'all seen me lift last 2 years, I can't. My max now is what I used to do 30 reps with. I can't. It's just time to. And Bill Kazmaier told me 15 years ago. He said, and Randy, you're still knocking it out of the park. But he said, I'm telling you, the day's coming because I know I've done been there. And he said, I know you well enough. It's going to be one of the hardest things you're facing. And buddy, let me tell you something. He's right, because it's hard to to walk in here and not do what I used to do, and especially I was always most of the top lifters in the powerlifting meets, especially the top squat and bench. I mean, I had good lifts, but my deadlift never was the best. Most I ever pulled is I'd sure do 765, so all I ever pulled off the floor.
Oh, that's it.
But compared to my squat, see, it just wasn't there. But again, in my slogan, as y'all know. They've heard me say they used to be Indians here and dinosaurs, and they're not no more. And that's the way I am. I'm not no more.
But there's proof of all those things being here.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Like I say, I've been honored to be able to do it, and I've been honored to train a lot of kids through this. Lord have mercy, I've probably been through 15 generations of kids of lifting in my gym and stuff.
Awesome.
And trying to head them in the right direction and stuff, and some of them didn't have a father, and some of them would actually call me dad. But again, I'm granddad.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a picture of Jared back there.
Yes,
when he was like 16.
Yeah. Jared, and again, Jared, when he was 13, had a stroke.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had a bad stroke. Yes, sir. And you see what he lifted. I mean, y'all know how much he can lift. Jared has come a long, long way.
Yeah, he's all right.
Long way. Come a long way from what he was. But again, like I say, I'm honored to be on the podcast. I enjoy it, and y'all tell I don't like to talk.
Oh yeah,
I was worried we weren't going to get you to say anything.
Yeah, we're like, man, I don't know if we're going to be able to fill all this dead air.
But like I say, again, I through the years of the strength athletics, I've met a lot of people, done a lot of things. We did stuff with Feed the Children, and we was Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and also Hillary Clinton's personal security one time. So
wow.
we've been personal security for Jason Statham. I mean, like he needed it,
I was about to say that he needed it.
And I don't know if you're familiar with the name Ralph Moeller or not. He was in Gladiator. He's the actor that when Russell Crowe was going to eat, he would test it to make sure he was okay. And was he about your height?
Oh yeah, he's a huge.
Yeah, he was a big guy. Yeah, I've been like he needed security, but we've been his security. But he's really.
I think I could take him.
No, I know you can, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Out to dinner, maybe.
He's paying though.
Yeah. Well, he's got it. He can pay it. Yeah. But I remember I brought
I'll drive. You pay.
Deal.
Yeah. I brought Arnold and Jason in, and they're getting all these awards and stuff. And Ralph stays there with me, and he said, a bunch of superstars. but again, like I said, what's the chances of an old farm boy from Scottsville, Kentucky? And I know I keep always coming back to God, but I know it's a God thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a God thing. It's a God thing that I've lifted the weights that I had. It's a God thing because I know the first time I squatted 1,000 pounds, he told me when to do it and where to do it because I know I wanted it. And in fact, I squatted it, and I did 2 reps with it. And in a minute it got done, I did the altar call. 7 people in the crowd accepted Jesus Christ in their life, and they come to watch a world record. And God had other plans. See,
yeah.
I mean, that's why it's just kind of put together. And I know a lot of people say, well, how in the world is lifting something be a ministry? I'm going to tell you, it is a untraditional church service, what we do. Mm-hmm. Highly full gospel, and highly upbeat. So we try to, I guess what we want to try to bring is we want to bring a Pentecostal church service on top of a pep rally, on top of a strongman contest, all together in one, and that's pretty much what it is. And we have a blast at it.
Yeah,
we have a blast at it. And I promise you, y'all coming to whatever I have you do, I promise you it'll make you look good. I promise you. That'll be my goal is to make sure you look good.
Yeah.
Make sure you look good.
All right.
I mean, I used to throw the caber in the ministry. I used to throw the caber and the sheath. I've done the caber because you know how the caber is judged by 12 o'clock and straight. And the Bible says straight and narrow is the way you make it head. Well, that's the same way.
Yeah.
That's what I would talk about the caber,
Caleb's pretty good at caber.
But I don't know if you've seen that caber. I got aluminum caber right outside in there is a plow point in the end to make the weight of the top heavy. But it's right out there beside the gym is an aluminum caber that I make.
So what do you not have?
Not much. One thing I don't have is computer savvy technology.
Yeah.
And I can't have none of that at all.
I don't think you need it.
You can't lift computer savvy, so it doesn't matter.
Computer doesn't get heavy enough.
Yeah. But now for many years I slept and lived lifting.
Yeah.
I mean that was my number one thing in life, and everything about life was lifting, and everything else was secondary.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I know
I guess there's a couple trophies in here.
There's a few.
Yeah, he's 1 and 2. He's 1 and 2.
Couple hundred, I guess.
One thing we talk about a lot is the showmanship of strength sports. And even the world's strongest man is amazing. I wouldn't change anything about it. Sometimes I feel like the showmanship part of it is kind of lost due to the intense competition that it's become.
Yes.
However, that's one thing we like about Omega Force is it's just the show of it all.
Yeah, it's kind of the strongman roots.
Yeah.
The sideshow kind of deal.
Well, when we was, like I say, long story short, when I first broke the log squat record in St. Louis, Missouri at the Trans World Dome, it was a 3-day event, and fellow was performing with them was John Brookfield. Any of the around strength might know the name John Brookfield. At one time, he had the world's strongest grip. Crazy. I mean, he ripped tennis balls in half with his hands. But anyway, we're sitting there.
New goal.
Do thing for Caleb to go for right there.
Rip a tennis ball in half.
But anyway, this fellow walks in about 6'5", long hair, tattoos, really muscled up guy, probably about 325, and patch over one eye. John hits me and he says, how'd you like to meet him in a dark alley? And I thought, ooh, I wouldn't. So anyway, I just get through squatting the world record law squat. ESPN just interviewed me. I head to the dressing room, and I'm coming back. He's leaning over on a big set of mats, and he's eyeballing me as I'm walking through.
There's that dark alley.
Yeah, there's the dark alley. I got my squat suit in my hand. I'm walking through, and I get a little closer, and he goes, well, in my heart, Caleb, it just sunk like. All this is going through my head. I'm not saying anything, but I was going, oh my God, I don't even want to have to tie in with this dude. Lord, no. Nope. So I head toward him. He sticks out his hand, and when I stick out my hand to shake his hand, he grabs my hand and he just reels me in, throws his arms around me. He said, my name is Jim Davis. He said, I used to be a member of the Outlaws biker gang. They ain't a drug it ever been. I ain't never took. I used to love to fight. That's how I lost my eye. I was fighting 3 guys, and they got me tripped over on a curb, and they took an ice pick to his eye. And anyway, any people that's in strongman knows the name Douglas Edmonds, which used to be over World's Strongest Man. He shared with me, he said, Douglas Edmonds has put me in charge. There's going to be a super series in the United States of everything qualifiers going to World's Strongest Man. And he told Douglas, he said, I'll do it, Doug, under one condition. And he said, what's that? He said, God's going to be in something about what I do, because he shared with me, Jim Davis did, that he had been saved and he changed his life. And he said, there's a lot of people I want to see saved. And so he asked us as a team, he said, will you and your team be the one that represents God at all the World's Strongest Men qualifiers? I said, yes, sir. I'm honored. Yeah. So that's what I say. Yeah, I went to a strongman contest and tore my ACL running with a big stone. The paperwork had been filled out for the next year for me to go to a World's Strongest Man qualifier and compete. And I tore my ACL, and I thought, oh, man, there went all of my dreams. You know, I didn't think I could win, but at least at that time, I think I could have hung with some of them pretty good. But anyhow, I'm driving back from St. Louis one night, and God says, are you happy, son? And I said, well, yeah, God, you know I'm happy. And God sometimes talks to you in your head, you know. And he said, you wanted to go to World's Strongest Man the way you wanted to go. I wanted you to go the way I wanted you to go. So you could go for me. And that's what it is. So these people that was winning World's Strongest Man, competing World's Strongest Man, they looked up to me more as what I would pray for them than what if I had won World's Strongest Man. Yeah. So I said, yeah, God, you satisfied me. So sometime what you ask for, you might not get exact, but God will give you something better. Yeah. That's just, you know, but I know I'm sounding like a whole lot like a preacher, but
fine.
But that's what I am, you know. Yeah. But now, you know, I'm not perfect. If I mash my finger with a hammer, it might be an old bathroom word roll out. I'll be all honest with you. That's just part of it. I'm deadly human, that's for sure. But deadly human. But again, you know, I appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. Bentley.
Bentley had a good look.
Yeah, he just 14-year-old. Just turned 14. So he comes out here and works here on a farm, and him and his sister was saved at a crusade we done in up in Elizabethtown, Kentucky this past summer. All right. So awesome. They do a little. They help me set up, and I'll let them bend a piece of steel or something.
Yeah.
But you know, again, like I say, you know, if y'all want to ask any questions, go ahead. I know I've been talk. Oh,
no, you're fine. Yeah. The one thing I was thinking is, you know, like what came first, chicken or the egg? Did you? So were you like a minister before and then got into strength sports?
No, the story of that is when I told you I involved God in my powerlifting, and I would thank the Lord every time I lifted good. I'd thank the Lord. Well, all you fellow lifters there, you got to call me preacher man. I said, man, I ain't no preacher. I ain't no preacher whatsoever. So then I said, Lord, there's got to be more than I can do to just to witness for you at a powerlifting meet. Well, be careful what you ask for. He laid Omega Force on my heart, which I didn't have that name. My wife prayed and fasted to come up with that name and the logo. But anyway, when he called me, I fought it for a year and a half. I wouldn't do it. I said, I can't do that. That's so far a tradition. What's people going to think?
Yeah.
And finally, in October of '96, he said, "I've called you to do something, son, and you're going to do it. I'm going to make you more miserable." And we've been doing it ever since. We've been doing it ever since, and it just doors is opened. Yep. Now it really slowed down after COVID. We would do 60 crusades a year till COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they think I've quit or what, but I haven't been to any of the conventions and stuff, or as the church conventions, to let them know. Of course, they know I'm bound to be getting old. He said, and I was old when I was doing 10. but again, we like I said, we keep on keeping on, and I got some younger people coming up and stuff. But that's kind of how that come about, and that's like I say, and then I won't never forget. I still never call myself a minister. I call myself an evangelist. And I was at a church in West Virginia, and the pastor that morning said, I would like for all preachers to come up and pray over this lady who had cancer. I sat there like a knot. And God said, you know what you are. Get your butt up out of that seat. And I thought, well, I guess I am a preacher. so that's where it went. So since then, I've been ordained and stuff. But again, and of course, Clint and all of them, they put it. My slogan that they would say was I was the world's strongest ordained minister, and I guess I was at one time, but I'm just an old man now.
Pretty cool name though.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just an old man now, but still enjoying the sport. I'm still enjoying the sport.
I mean, really though, but you're still probably in the top 10 of strongest ordained ministers.
Well, maybe at my age,
How much did you just foot press over here? It was over 9.
Yeah, 930. 930.
Yeah, just foot press 930 pounds. Yeah, you're still up.
With
there.
speed.
And that's after open heart surgery and mechanical heart valve.
Yeah, I'd say you still got a pretty good shot at being
not too bad. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I might be I might have my hat tossed in the ring anyway.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed it, and like I say, I know I talk about it a lot, but I think y'all would enjoy it too. I really, really do. I'd love to get y'all involved.
We talked about it right before we started here. We think it's pretty cool, so we're gonna check our schedules and see what we can work out.
Because I'd really hate for this thing when I pass. I'd hate for this thing to stop. I'd love to keep going. I'd love to keep going. But and again, and I know the strength people know who Paul Wren done a lot. Which as y'all seen, I showed the picture of him picking me up. Paul Rim used to do a lot of performing with me too, and Paul Rim's still competing, and he still goes to the Philippines and does ministry. Yeah, Paul's a really good guy. I don't know if you ever had a chance to meet Paul Rim, but Paul's a really, really nice guy, down to earth, nice guy. And late 70s, he was considered the world's strongest man. Him and at the very late 70s and early 80s, Paul would tell me, he said it was whoever had the good day, whoever was on, between him and Bill would be who would win. Of course, Bill Kesmar. But I think in the world, first or second world's strongest man, he pulled a trolley car on track with his teeth. Paul Rim did.
Jesus.
But I remember the first time I met Paul Rim was in Nashville, Tennessee at a big car show, and he was doing his show there, and he picked up a 350-pound man off the platform with his teeth. And he started doing stuff with me, and I said, Paul, you still picking up people with your teeth? He said, no. And Paul talks a little like that. He said, no, Randy, my teeth are like the stars. They come out at night.
That's awesome.
What a good way to put that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna tell you, he's a really good guy. He's a really, really good fellow.
Well, to change it up a little bit, we had a whole episode about it with Clint, and I'm interested to see if you were to list, we can say top 10, top 5, however many you want to list, strongest people have ever walked the earth. Who would make the list?
Well, I'd have to give Paul Anderson the first one.
All right, that's the same as Clint. Clint said the same thing.
Paul Anderson the first one.
Do you think the accusations of his lift being not legit?
That's I wonder. Of course, you don't know, and there's no way to know. But Paul Wren was such a short and thick stature, is why I think that. What if it was 6,000 something pounds that he backlifted? Not, I'm sure it was close to it. Mm-hmm. And of course, I don't think nobody's even come close to touching it. I know
I think the record's like the current one that's supposed to be legitimate is 4?
Yeah, it's something. Like 2,000 pounds.
It's pretty far off.
Yeah. Well, the first one I built sitting right out that door right there, and it turned out weighing 960 pounds because I thought, well, yeah. And then I got under there to get it built, and I'm thinking, I picked it up, but it was whoa. Well, now 2,600 pounds is the most we ever done. Yeah. And that's after training it. And so it gave me a whole nother respect for Mr. Paul Wren. Oh, yeah. But they said he had a golf course that he had lifting things set up at each hole. And I remember him saying that he had 500 pound on a bar for an overhead press. And he would do it 10 reps at that hole. when he would go through.
That's insane. Are you talking about Paul Anderson or Paul?
Paul Anderson.
Okay.
Paul Anderson. Yeah, Paul. I mean, I said that wrong.
And, and you have that apparatus back here?
No, I've got the one I built for
right,
Yeah, back there. Yeah, I got two. I got that one in. I made one a lot lighter, so we can fill it full of kids. When we fill it full of kids. But
something else we're going to have to come try.
How cool is that?
But anything, it's anything. Of course, going down through time and there used to be a journal, and I don't know if I've ever seen one. Milo. Have y'all ever seen a Milo magazine?
Yeah, Clint introduced me to those actually.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I would look through that to get new ideas and everything. And right there is a picture somewhere, I think, of the bass stone. Thought it was. Maybe it's blowed down. But anyway, it's a bass stone. And in the Perry's Mountains, they would lift bass stones as proof of manhood. So what they would do, they'd reach down, bear hug it, roll it up, put it on their shoulder, and if there was a hot dog, they'd spin around. Well, they got so strong that the stones was so big they couldn't get a hold of them, so they started making them out of steel. Mm-hmm. And so I made one, and I put one together and put it on the scales. It's inch steel, and it weighed 304 pounds. And
I steel ball.
God told me to build this. No, it's a box.
Oh, a box. Okay,
it's a box, and it's a rectangle box, so it's about this tall, about that wide. And I said, God, what am I going to do with a 304-pound box in ministry?
Fair question.
Yeah, and just as plain as you saying to me, Caleb, this is what God said. I want you to put a mirror inside of it. And he said, I want you to tell people, look in it, and you'll see the reason that Jesus died on the cross. Obviously, you see yourself. But anyway, Clint being a hot dog, me and Clint was about the only ones who would lift it. Clint was pretty good at it, too. And of course, I said, now, Clint, I'll guarantee you Clint Poor is a hot dog. Of course, Clint would spin with it. But anyway, I know we got back to what we're talking about as far as the world's strongest guys it's, ever been. Sylvanus Druckus would have to be in definitely the top five.
100% agree.
Yeah, without a doubt. Definitely for sure. I know you got a lot of your modern ones, and I just hate to say it, the drugs is a lot different now than what they used to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't, and anybody that's lifting the kind of weight they are, guys, they're not doing it drug free. Okay, I'm just telling you, I've been around this sport too long for that. Yeah. Not the kind of weight that some of these guys are.
There can't be people that think these guys are just.
No.
Like, there's no way.
That's like I saw. There was like all that shock going on when Halfthor, admitted that he wasn't steroid free.
Yeah.
Like, people acted like they were shocked. I was like, who's shocked by that?
The guy pulled a plane for fun multiple times.
Yeah, absolutely. I would still have to probably throw Brian Shaw in there too.
I agree.
Yeah. I did throw Brian Shaw, and then Thor. I did put Thor in there. Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. I did put Thor.
Yeah. Especially, I think we had said, I think, what was it, 2018 Thor?
Yeah.
Like Thor in 2018 was just nuts.
Yes.
No one was beating him.
Yeah, they was. Definitely without a doubt.
I think we just talked about this a couple of days ago, actually, that he in the same year won all the major shows, and then went on to do a powerlifting meet and land in the top 5 heaviest totals ever.
Yes.
Which is insane.
Yes. Yeah. And two others that I would have to throw in there would definitely be Bill Kazmaier.
Yep.
And Don Reinhardt.
Don Reinhardt. I don't think that name sounds familiar to me.
Don was the world's strongest man before Bill.
Okay.
Don and Bill is the only two lifters that's been world's strongest man and world champion powerlifter at the same time. They're the only two. The only two that done it.
Wild.
Well, it's like you were talking about. You wanted to be the world's strongest powerlifter, the world's strongest man, the world's best. Highland Games, you had to pick one. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to be the world's best at any one thing.
Yes, you got that right. Yeah, you got that.
But to be the world's best at two different sports.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's right. Far as now, he has the incredible strength for his size. But the best person to play the world's strongest man, athlete-wise, was Morris Pogonowski.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, his lift's not shoddy either.
No.
Oh, yeah.
But now, far as speed and strength put together,
insane.
He's never been touched.
No, he's insane.
Never been touched.
And then to look like a bodybuilder on top of all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, because, again, he's the only 5-time guy. won World's Strongest Man, which I really think Bill would have been there, but they didn't invite him. You know, they didn't want American winning. Yeah. But you know,
that's still like I still think about that. I'm like, that is so dirty the way they did Bill.
Yes, it was very dirty.
Absolutely.
Very dirty. Yeah. Then he was, of course, they invited him back. He was injured, you know, so he didn't get to turn out as good.
All right, we can bring him back now.
yeah, absolutely.
He's hurt. Let him compete.
Yeah.
Yep, he may not do so good this time.
Yeah.
He'll probably still win, but maybe not.
I would love to see the matchup. I would love to see the matchup of Morris Puganowski, Bill Kazmaier, and John Paul Smirkerson.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to see that because John was no slouch of strength either.
Oh, yeah.
But he's an extreme athlete.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, I would put Bill definitely the power.
Absolutely.
He would have been the king of the static lift. But you know, there's one lifter that don't get mentioned in the strength world. In fact, he was the biggest totaler at the time, and the only reason he got beat out of World's Strongest Man is they picked a thing of running with brick on their back, and John Paul beat him. O.D. Wilson. Y'all know the name O.D. Wilson?
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street, they called him. He was a big guy, big black guy.
That was one of Clint's. That was one of Clint's top 5.
I was trying to think where I'd heard the name, and
he was a monster, man. I mean, he was big. But you know, again, I know I probably exceeded 5, but but anyway, I think I think all of them should be mentioned in that. You know, really do. But again, I still think at the era of what, even if he was doing drugs, Paul Anderson would still be number 1 on my list.
Well, that's the thing, though. He competed in the World Olympics. I mean, he had to be clean at least at some point.
Yeah, he's the only American to win a gold medal in Olympic lifting. Yeah. In super heavyweight weightlifting. You know, hands down. And then, of course, he went to doing the shows. You know, he was squatting twice a day to raise money for the youth home. In fact, I mean, I never got to meet Paul, but I know his wife, Glenda. Of course, she's married and still runs the home. In fact, I sent a picture for her to put up. I talked to her on the phone. I sent a picture of me squatting those big wheels because on it said, if I remember exactly how I said, in tribute to the great Paul Anderson through the power of Jesus Christ. And it was 909. Of course, that's what Paul's picture in a lot of the magazines. He's squatting a big old pair of antique wheels. And that's what inspired me to find them antique wheels. Yeah. And I found some wheels like that on the internet the other day, and they sold for $4,000. So I've locked them on the bar.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
But there better be some big boys because they weigh $432 a piece. Yeah. You have to have a tractor or a lot of guys to put them on the bar. Yeah.
Me and Holland got it. We have 2-man deadlift more than that.
Yeah.
Is there a 2-man squat? I just thought about that.
It'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
That'd be hard for us to do, though.
Well, we're not going to do it.
We had to put Holland on some blocks. Y'all gonna try the 2-man again?
Oh yeah.
Good deal.
Don't know when, but at some point.
Well, the fellow that was printing my sign, he was supposed to have my pictures, and there's going to be several more pictures up, and I blew up the picture of me and the black gentleman, and he's passed on, died of heart problems years ago. That we done 1,200. We done 1,200 it was called Roll the Stone Away 2-man deadlift. And what I did is I hooked 2 Olympic bars together because he deadlifted conventional then, and I deadlifted sumo.
Oh no!
Oh yeah!
And it was a wild deal, but it worked out. And in fact, that thing that links the bars is still over on the dumbbells. It just clamps down on the 2 ends, and you put 2 plates on the inside, and then load the rest on the outside. I mean, so. And some of the other guys on the teams, these other teams that's out far as the Christian strongman teams, they said, they said you are definitely God's engineer on this stuff. One reason I got that is, of course, we used to blow up hot water bottles, which is extremely difficult to do. Oh gosh,
I bet.
Not only is it so hard to blow up, you got to squeeze so hard to keep it sealed, or you lose your air. So nothing doing. I had to make an outfit where you do 2 at one time.
Oh yeah, it's already like a really difficult thing. Let's do it 2 times.
Yeah. So I got it fixed. I had 2 valves that way. When one blowed, you could turn it where you keep blowing on the other. The first time we introduced that was at the Arnold Classic. We done that right in front of Arnold's big RV. Then Clint done it at a church. One of the boys from West Virginia's one done it in the show the very first time, and then Clint done it at a church in Columbus, and And both of them said that's one of the most beastest things I've ever seen in my life. But it works. It does work. But again, like I say, there's this, and of course the Bubba that died, he had his own team too, and he said, you're like Batman. Where does he get all these wonderful toys? God just had me. He'd line it up, but God would tell me to build something, then he'd tell me how to use it. 316-pound cross. Pick it up and carry the cross for 316. And then God said, I want you to come up with a chain like they have in World's Strongest Man. And I thought, God, I live in Scottsville Kentucky. It's a little lake down here. Ain't no big chains nowhere. So I go buy this steel. I buy 4-inch solid, Alan.
God.
And I cut them off on 45s, and I wad it around on my welding table, and I build a 600-pound chain, weld it all together. Another thing like the box, I put it on the feed scales, and I think it weighed like 602. And nothing doing. I had to outdo the World's Strongest Man. Theirs was 550. So anyway, I said, God, what am I going to do with a 600-pound chain in ministry? He said, I want you to hang a sign behind it that says unconfessed sin, and when you drag it to the cross. So it's just numbers and numbers of things like that you've seen done in World's Strongest Man. And I know when we was performing at the World's Strongest Man qualifiers, the biggest Atlas stone they was using was a 310. We'd bring a 350 because we knew we had to be at their level or greater.
Yeah.
And I was honored. I got to know all the guys that competed in World's Strongest Man pretty good. And if it was an event that they was afraid of and they didn't want to try it till it was their time to do it, this really, I felt honored. And I've heard them, they would say on the mic, said, Randy Richey, we need you here because you're on the same strength level that we are. So I thought, well, thank y'all for saying that. Yeah. And I would go do the feat. And then they'd all surround me like, how is blah, blah, blah. And I won't never forget the very first time I'd done that was in college in West Virginia, the most expensive college. I can't think of the name of it. It's the most expensive college in the United States. And they had a car deadlift, all 4 wheels on the platform.
What?
All 4 wheels. And they're all shook up about it. I mean, they're shook up bad about it. This is on a Sunday morning. It's starting to sprinkle rain. I didn't have no powerlifting suit or nothing on. And they holler at me. Phil Fisher, which Phil Fisher is a very good friend of mine. And they holler at me. He says, get Randy. And I said, well, let me at least go get my belt, guys. And there's no knurl on the bar. None. Oh. You can't use no straps.
Yeah.
And I prayed the whole way to my truck. I said, God, these men look up to me. Whatever you do, please let that thing leave the ground, please.
Even just a little.
So I go and I get my belt and I come back, and again I'm praying the whole way back. And Phil Fisher is here, about as close to me and you, Caleb, and I'm getting ready, and Fox Sports is interviewing Phil. And they're saying, we're understanding that y'all used to deadlifting the cars with just the 2 wheels off, and this has got 4, and I think there's a little bit of shook up about it. I don't know if that's the proper word they said or what, but anyway. So I'm getting there, and I got my hands all chalked up, and I'm getting cinched up, just fixed to come up with it. And they asked Phil Fisher, says, well, how much weight do you think it's going to feel like in your hands? And Phil Fisher, just right before I'm fixed to pick it up, he said, somewhere around 1,400 pounds. I said, God, please let this thing come off the ground. But I stood right up with it pretty good, and when I set it down, they all surrounded me like a chickens after corn. How is it? I said, y'all all gonna be all right. There wasn't but one guy that didn't make it. There wasn't but one guy that didn't pick it up. But I felt honored. And then they come out with Hercules hold that he used to do little cars. In St. Louis, they had SUVs, and they're all tore up about this. So Mangus for Mangus and Bill Kazmar call on me. And I hook, no knurl again. And I hook up, and I had tore a pec. And, of course, Mangus, I knew Mangus very well. He called me Log Man, where I squatted the log and so much. But he keep telling me to go further. I said, no, Mangus, I don't know. I said, I've had a pec there. And he said, Randy, if you don't go out further, when they turn them loose, it's going to come out of your hand. So, I mean, they stretched me like I was going to be ripped apart. He said, right there. Well, again, they turned them loose, and I held them for 18 seconds. And then it wasn't no such thing. And, the longest hold that day, and again, this sounds like I'm bragging, but I'm not. It's got 22 seconds was the longest hold. And I got to hold it. But I kept saying, y'all going to be all right. Y'all going to be all right. But again, I've been honored. Anytime it was something new, I was honored to ask me to give it a try. Because, again, And again, I still think it's a God thing because God knowed I wanted to go to World's Strongest Man, and He honored that. You know, that. No, I didn't get to win World's Strongest Man by any chance, and I didn't think I could win it. I never thought I could win it. I just thought I could do a decent showing.
Yeah,
you know?
I think you did a decent showing. I mean,
and again, I'll give God the credit because that's where all this great strength that I'd had through years. And I'm sure Clint's probably told you know. I mean, sometimes it's surprised me. The hardest thing I ever done was hold back a 67 Chevelle with a 427 in it 4-speed drag car. That's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I did right up here on the square at the town festival. And God told me to do it. And I'm thinking, God. So anyway, this fellow used to be on the team. He had this Chevelle just had 30,000 miles on it. Sorry, I have diabetes and my mouth gets dry. So he brings it over. And he's put brand new rear tires on it. I'm thinking, why'd you put brand new tires on it? We get out here on the road. He said, I think it'll set still for just a few seconds. Set still for 1.32 seconds. And then it was lifting one front wheel off the ground. Thinking, oh, my God, I don't know. And then one of the other big guys that weighed 300-something pounds on the team, he said, because I had a big bicycle rack fixed, Alan, and I modified it where I hooked it to my dually, and then I'd get in it, and my feet was higher than my head. And I'd run a chain over that thing into the car. Well, this same fella had a pickup truck. It had a 396 in it. He said, well, let's try the pickup first. I'll bring my pickup over next week. So we did. We did it inside my shop, and I'm on the concrete. And I was nervous about it, you know, but God done assured me, I want you to do this. And I held it in the concrete, and I said, go get the car. I mean, it was hard. And we brought the car in on the concrete, and I held the car that evening. And but it's a lot of difference on that concrete in there. It is when it's hot and sunny on the blacktop up on the square. A lot. But anyway, there was 7 cops trying to back up the people because everybody won't see it. You know? Mm-hmm. But anyhow, the Lord let me hold it back. I held it back for 17 seconds is what I held it back. But within 3 seconds, you couldn't even see me because I told that one guy, I said, you get right beside me where I can tell you when to stop. And I just kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. But I had never in my life shook after lifting anything. And I shook for 3 minutes. I'd strained so hard. Man. But that's the hardest thing I've ever done, hands down.
What he didn't tell you is he did a couple burnouts to heat the tires up before he did it.
What he didn't tell you, he did all that. He held it with his teeth.
Yeah. Well, I know it was. I think it was last summer. No, summer before last. Me and Clint and we done a show in up next to Lexington, Kentucky. And this fellow brought a Camaro up, and as a team, we held it back. As a team of 7 of us, held this car back. And the first time we failed, and I said, let me get on the other side and get swung back a little bit. So we got a rope hung to it, and not it was me, but we held it back. And I'm thinking, well, that definitely had to be a God thing that I held that car back by myself. Because I'm telling you, it was all we wanted to hold that Camaro back. But I don't know if there's a picture over in the newspaper. We helped back my daddy's pulling tractor, raising a thing for money for St. Jude. I mean, anything crazy. Yeah. And of course, me and Clint would look on internet and Milo, anything that was odd. And of course, Tom Glenn-Veck. Y'all know Tom Glenn-Veck. Mm-hmm. And of course, Tom was on the team. And anything that was wild like that, you know, we'd try to pull it up. And Tom McCon is where I met him in the Highland Games, and he's from St. Louis. And he found out a guy somewhere had squatted through a 2 before. And y'all remember, you was up at Somerset when I squatted through the 2 before.
Yeah, we saw it.
Yeah. But
that was cool. I never would have even thought of that.
It's just odd, crazy things. And, of course, we used to run through 2 befores. And Phil Pfister, I'll never forget it. We was in that college in West Virginia, and I run through 3 2 befores. He said, Randy, I've seen you do a lot of things, a lot of stuff that just freaked me out. And he said, but that's one of the wildest things I've ever seen you do. But it's been fun. And if anybody wants to run through 2 befores, I'll get them.
You know, maybe not today.
We was try. I know I'm talking a lot, guys, but I'm sorry. I'll say this one more thing and I'll shut up. We was at St. Louis again. I done a lot of this stuff in St. Louis with the World's Strongest Man. We was in a Trans World Dome, and I had 2 guys running toward me. One weighed 330, another weighed 340. And at that time I'm 290-ish, and we would run a practice run and bump. And I said, put your outside hand underneath the 2 befores, your inside hand over, that way it don't come up. Well, they didn't do that. They had it under. And here we go, full speed. When it hit me, I broke them, but it clotheslined me. I turned 2 flips in the air. Landed on that concrete hockey ring, a spinning. You could have. It was like a hush over 5,000 people. Like, is he dead? And I jump up where they cheered. Well, I go straight to holding the 2 40-pound or 35-pound crosses, and I'm thinking, is my tooth knocked out or what? Because blood. And I thought, well, give it a good,
it's a good visual.
Good vision, with it. Yeah. But I go into after holding the crosses because they're going to get strongmen going. I go into the bathroom and there's a splinter stuck up through my lip. But again, I mean, like I said, we've had a big. Yeah, I know that sounds rough, but we have always something to laugh about after it, But
Caleb, you definitely need to run through.
It's a rush. I'm here to tell you, man. It is a rush because you don't never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that sounds like a rush.
If y'all seen the picture of the other guy in the men's bathroom, Bubba there, he used to run through the 2x4s, and I won't never forget it. I've seen him picked up the 2. When you hit the 2x4s, you want to hear the go break.
Yeah.
Because if you hit it and you don't hear that, this is going to be bad. I've seen him weighing 310, it pick him up and throw him 12 feet backwards on his back. So you didn't want to hold back. You wanted to go hard.
I think that's the next thing we're going to do for a video.
There you go.
For the Iron Pounds podcast.
There you go.
We'll
start out with one.
Let David run
That's
through
what I was going to say.
Since he's not here, he's got to run through it.
Always remember, put your inside hand over it.
Don't tell him that.
So it don't climb up. Of course, you want to hit right in there. I mean, it hurts. I mean, I used to bruise my biceps from doing it, but the kids loved it. Yeah.
So, another record that I've seen you had that I find very interesting is the block break.
Yes, I've been very blessed at that. In fact, I was hoping to have the big posters up here. In fact, God blessed me. Not only do I hold the single strike, I hold the double strike. After I broke the single strike, God says, "Why stop?" I'm telling you, he tell me stuff like this because he would do this to get people to come and watch, so tell me about God. And so anyway, I did. When I first broke the world record, it was at 42 single strike, and I duplicated it on America's Got Talent.
I saw that video.
The record that I took, the guy I took it from was a 7-degree black belt out of Chattanooga.
And that's what I thought was odd. Was normally I see like martial arts people doing this, and then here's a strongman out of Kentucky just. Boom.
Well, he comes back and breaks it at 48. So I come back at the Superman Festival in Metropolis, Illinois, and break it at 55. Well, he tries an attempt, but he don't get his stuff of putting it together, wouldn't hold it all up. Of course, I do a lot of fabrication work, so I built everything metal. He's trying to put it all together as wood, and it wouldn't hold it. I always wanted to try 100 single strike, but they quit making the block. And, of course, I wouldn't be heavy enough now, because I had to jump and pull. On the single strike, I had to have a whole jump as high as I could and then take this hard and pull me down through it for it to travel through. So lately we've been breaking floor tile. Huh. In fact, it's crazy. I own the floor because it ain't never been done. I own the world record on the floor tile. At 30, I got 30. They won't break like a rock. 30 is all I've ever been through on the floor tile. But it sounds like hitting plates. Like glass.
That's pretty cool.
I saw a picture of you. Was it big blocks of ice?
Yeah, breaking ice with my head.
With your head.
Yes. Well, a story about that. I have to tell you about that. Bubba in there that I told you that passed away. He died of a brain aneurysm, and he used to break blocks with his head, and I did too. Well, my wife threw a fit.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
So we're up next to Chicago at a town festival. And I took my freezer in my ice. I said, she'll never know it. Well, I break the ice with my head, and we get done as a 3-day event, and I'm driving home on a Sunday night. And me and my wife's talking, been together since we were sophomore in high school. We're talking, and directly she said, "Have you got something to tell me?" So the first thing I thought, she think I've been out on her or something? I said, well, I don't reckon why.
She said, well, I don't know if you know it or not, but somebody's already put on Facebook what you done today.
So for the next 45 minutes, Alan, I'm digging myself out of the doghouse, driving home, and I haven't done a head break since.
You should have told her the worst things you could have been doing.
But, yeah, absolutely. And I told her, I said, now, ice ain't near as hard as the block, honey. But it didn't work. It didn't work.
It's a great argument.
Yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work. But now I've got all this crazy stuff. Anybody wants to try it? You know, y'all welcome to do it.
We've already talked about coming up here again, so we're gonna have to let you know.
Well, absolutely.
Something.
I was like, we were talking like we could do an entire episode of just a guided tour of the pictures. That
Well,
you have
I
on the
guess
wall.
I guess you could.
You know?
I guess
Yeah,
you could.
we had,
yeah.
whenever we first got here, we looked around, and I told them, I said, "Don't let me forget, I've got the cordless mics with us. Let's mic up. I want to hear some of the stuff about it." And I said, after we looked around more, I was like, "We're just going to have to come back. There's too much stuff."
That's gonna be a separate episode.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Y'all welcome anytime.
You got
want
too
to
much.
come back.
There's so much history here.
A miniseries, guys.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, there's just so much cool stuff here.
Well, I appreciate it. Again, now, let me tell you what got me the idea started this. Have y'all ever heard of the Pitt Barbell Club in Evansville, Indiana?
I don't think so.
It's been there in the same building since 1952.
Wow.
Paul Anderson come and trained there while he was in the town. He's got the autographed picture on the wall. They had such an atmosphere of older stuff. They had plates bolted on the wall. I'd never heard of a Luferingo plate. They had a Luferingo 45-pound plate.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. That's cool.
But anyway, that gave me the idea. I said, man, I love this atmosphere. Yeah. And the back of their T-shirt, their slogan was, no carpet, no sauna, just Arn.
Yeah. Yes.
That's awesome.
And that's in Evansville, the Pitt Barbell Club. And it's still, the owners was older gentleman then, because Dick Connor was the powerlifting coach, and that's who I got to know. His partner was Bud Dowling. I think, is it Pat Trying? I think Pat Trying his last name, is the owner of it now. And it's still, well, Clint's worked out there.
Of course he has.
But it's a little more fancy now. Before it was just no rock walls, and it was pretty cool though. It was pretty cool. But again, I've always loved the sport. I'll tell you what got me interested in weightlifting.
Yeah.
And y'all will never, don't think y'all ever heard of this movie. The name of the movie I watched when I was a 10-year-old kid was called The 500-Pound Jerk.
Never heard of it.
And the actor in its name his name in the movie was Huel Ray Wallfeather. And it was all about, that was at the time when it was making, when they hadn't hardly, they just had got to the 500 overhead barrier in a clean jerk. Now, I thought it was the best movie I've ever seen, which I've watched it since. It's a little cheesy, but that's what got me interested in lifting. That's what got me interested in lifting. And then, of course, first thing that next year for Christmas, Santa Claus had to bring me a set of concrete weights. And I'll never forget it. Every morning, especially when I got to the point where I'd drive to go to school, every morning I'd go back and do 10 reps with 200 pound on the bench press every morning before I left in the car to go to school. That's a long time ago, Caleb.
That's wild. Just one movie that no one's ever heard of.
The 500-pound jerk. Yeah, they may be, if there's any old listeners like me, they might remember that movie, but that's the name of it, the 500-pound jerk.
I bet Chip's seen it.
I'll guarantee Chip's seen it. Yeah, I bet you Chip's seen it. Yeah, I guarantee it. But,
I'm going to go watch it.
You pull it up. You pull it up. It's a little cheesy.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, but as a kid, you're like, oh wow. But this Huel Ray become friends. I think he's with the Russian, and the Russian kind of done him a little dirty, tricked him a little bit some way, and I can't remember it all. But that's what got me, geared up. I'll never forget, Alan. I went in the next room after that movie went off, and there was an old cast iron ashtray with a bottom and a side on it, and the top where 3 ashtrays are set. And I went back there, clean jerk, put it over a 10-year-old. Before you leave on this up at the top, It might be it right there. If it ain't the second shirt over, Hollins, is the very first powerlifting meet I lifted in the T-shirts up there.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I think I weighed in at 204.
I think I weighed in at 204 like in high school.
Oh, doubt that.
Well, you were 6'8".
6'8" when he was born.
It took 3 days for him to come all the way
No,
out.
you know how tall. Let me tell you how tall Caleb is. 6'12".
Yeah.
6'12".
Yeah.
That's what they said about James Arness. He's 6'12". You know, Matt Dillon.
Yeah.
He's 6'12".
All right, well, one final question before we wrap it up. Would you consider Ed Cohen to be?
Yes, I would. Definitely top 10.
Yeah.
Pound for pound. And I don't know if you've ever met Ed Cohen. One of the greatest guys you'll ever talk to in your life.
Want to.
Want to real bad.
He's as plain as an old shoe. I mean, of course, you know how they call him the GOAT. You know, but, yeah, Ed, definitely. Ed was definitely ahead of his time. I think Ed was ahead of his time. Bill Kazmaier was ahead of his time.
100% agree.
Bill Kazmaier told me, he said, I do 725 raw in the bench press before I went to World's Strongest Man. And if you remember, he tore his pec in steel. He said the most I could ever bench after that was 601.
It's insane.
But he wouldn't put a shirt on. I tried every way in the world, but he didn't put a shirt on. He wouldn't do it. He said, I'm still like a raw stuff. I said, Bill, you can still lift if you put a shirt on. And he wouldn't do it. And, of course, Anthony Clark, y'all know the name Anthony Clark, first man to bench press 800, done reverse grip. He's the one got me to add reverse grip to bench press. And that's one reason my bench excelled. Every person that's come in here, I've had them do reverse grip bench press, and it's just excelled. I've benched over 700 pounds, you know, in a contest before, but of course I can't do half that now. But anyway, but you know, Anthony Clark wasn't no shab either now, as far as strength, as far as especially squatting, and he wasn't a good deadlifter, but he benching, he was. But he died of 36-year-old heart failure. They wanted to do a heart transplant when he wouldn't do it.
Wow.
But I got, like I say, I've known and been friends with a lot of the best in the world.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you just went through like a who's who of World's Strongest Man. I mean, there might have been 2 names this whole day that you've mentioned that I didn't recognize.
Yeah, I agree. This is insane.
I was like, man.
Well, like I said, it comes to the iron sport. I've always been crazy about it, and I appreciate what y'all doing with this, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, it's going to educate some of the younger people that don't know about some of these lifters that I think still need to be honored.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, still need to be honored. And I appreciate y'all driving all the way down from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Absolutely.
Not only did you drive down and set this up, y'all worked like a dog loading and unloading. I appreciate it.
We love doing this stuff.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you coming. I appreciate you having us for one.
Absolutely.
This is awesome.
Anytime, bro.
We're going to have to come back. Absolutely.
Definitely.
But thanks for coming. Thanks for having us.
Well, thanks for having me.
That's it.
Well, appreciate it. God bless you.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
A huge thank you to Randy Richey and Bodymax Gym. And you may have noticed the new music that's by Necktie Social. Check out the description for their details. And while you're there, click on the links for discounts on supplements and merch. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the bell so you don't miss out on new episodes every Monday. We'll see you next time.
15 miles north of